Matt Gaetz and 7 other Republicans have ousted Kevin McCarthy from Speaker of the House, with it effectively turning on a large portion of the swamp that is infested when it comes to the conservative base. They've effectively teamed up with a large portion of the Democrats that wanted to ouster Kevin McCarthy from the Speaker's position, and with it, we now see that they have the capacity to hold the position hostage. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what this is going to bring to the future of American politics. We're going to start this off with Simona Tiba. Simona Tiba being one of the only good reporters when it comes to the White House press corps. The only reporter I've seen consistently press someone like Joe Biden or Karine Jean-Pierre when it comes to the nefarious machinations of the brain-dead statements that they make that are supposed to pacify the journalist class so the journalist class can create spins to deliver to the public. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump in. He says, do you have any words for these 8 Republicans who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy? Yeah, good job, every single one of you, understanding that the swamp is a genuine threat, and it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle, it is nothing more than infested with these filthy, disgusting swamp creatures that we call the political class, which are nothing more than parasitic elite akin to leeches on the back of the populace. Alrighty, here we see the Republicans are Matt Gaetz, Nancy Mace, Andy Biggs, Matt Rosendale, Eli Crane, Ken Buck, Tim Burnett, and Bob Good. Fantastic job to all of you. I have nothing but the highest commendations and thanks to say to every single one of you. Let's go ahead and jump in, and this is a clip of Matt Gaetz after the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, and this is a tweet from Phil That Remains. Phil Labonte, he is the lead singer of All That Remains. If you're not aware of who Phil is, he is on Timcast. He is a regular on that show. I really love his commentary. He is an adamant anti-communist. He's a staunch libertarian, really intelligent, wonderfully well-read, incredibly well-spoken, and a wonderfully talented musician. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Here we see fuck lobbyists and fuck the bureaucracy. And I couldn't agree more. Phil is spot on just about basically everything. So let's move on.
And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Matt Gaetz absolutely dropping the hammer on all of these bureaucratic tyrants that want nothing more than to strip mine the value of your wealth, to bolster them up, to create them as nothing more than a value in your eyes because you would see them as ever more important to fix the economic turmoil that these motherfuckers have created. And we see that so many of them were completely against voting out Kevin McCarthy because they're all uniparty establishment hacks in the end. And this all started, take heed, the fact that people were sick of the funding for Ukraine, and they're sick of seeing the people in Maui being abandoned. They're sick of seeing people in Appalachia being abandoned. The people in inner cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New York, being entirely abandoned. They're sick and tired of it. The cultural decay has overlapped in so many ways when it comes to so many of the different varying facets of how the United States is supposed to interact with all of the different subsystems within our country. And we see this in mass when it comes to the decay of the family. And to start with that, we'll go ahead and jump into someone who just started a family, being Lauren Chin. Lauren is absolutely fantastic. Go give her a follow. Everything will be linked in the description down below as per usual, so you can find everyone that I use in all of my segments. Alrighty. It says, are you happy now, Gaetz? Now you'll have Democrats in charge who fail to secure the border, who funnel money to Ukraine, throw Trump under the bus, and fail to hold Biden accountable for his corruption. Instead of Kevin McCarthy, who also does all of those exact same things. And that is why he was ousted, because he was no better than someone like Joe Biden on all of these issues. He is akin to that of Romney, nothing more than someone who will toe the establishment line. Moving on from Wall Street Silver, it says, now that Kevin McCarthy has been removed as Speaker, there will be a new vote. Matt Gaetz and his small group of conservatives, 6 to 11, will be able to hopefully hold the new Speaker's feet to the fire. What changes? Number 1, will Ukraine funding be eliminated? And number 2, will the spending bill in less than 45 days have real cuts? I do not expect conservatives or Republicans to actually have budget cuts. If you were to bring up the idea of going back to the Obama-era budget, you would blow these people's minds because it would be such a drastic reduction in spending that they couldn't comprehend the idea of what you were actually trying to push. On to Tim Pool, we see, oh boy, I can't wait to be let down by Jim Jordan. I like Jim. I hope if he gets things right, but I don't think so. Either way, I support Matt Gaetz' efforts. I just have a very low opinion of the institution to the point I'm not sure Jim can salvage it. And this is in response to Jim Jordan confirming he will be running for the Speaker of the House. And if I'm going to be honest, Jim Jordan would be great, but he's not my first choice. I will be getting into my first choice for who I believe the Speaker of the House should be in just a moment. And we're going to go ahead and jump into Nuance Bro's response to this. He says, here we go. Best choice of a viable option for me, IMO. He will be limited in what he can do in so many ways, and so many will be disappointed. And I absolutely agree. Many people will expect Jim Jordan to be able to do more than he has the capacity to do, but him in this seat would be fantastic. Now on to my second pick for who I would choose, and that would be Justin Amash. Kevin McCarthy promised to open the House, but he never made good on that promise. In this entire term, there's only been one legislative item that had an open amendment process, a very narrow, relatively inconsequential bill that passed in January. Spending bills by rule and tradition go back over 200 years, are supposed to be freely amendable from the floor by any member of the House able to garner the votes. Yet 0 of the spending bills McCarthy has brought to the floor have been considered under an open rule, meaning he was effectively pushing nothing more than rule by decree through the House, which is why someone like Justin Amash would be such a great counter to this. Justin Amash being someone who is independent and more of a libertarian-leaning individual. As you can see, he's a libertarian-leaning member of Congress. When you click on his account, you can see it in his description. I really like Justin Amash. I genuinely adore this man when it comes to so many of his policies. He is a fantastic person in Congress, much like Thomas Massie is. They are arguably 2 of the only good congressmen outside of the 8 that just went after Kevin McCarthy. Alrighty, let's go ahead and see what we have from DC Drano. He says, want to know why the Speaker was just removed for the first time in history? Because Kevin McCarthy wouldn't give up funding for Ukraine. That's it. Let this be a message to every future Speaker, and not just that, every future tyrant that wishes to rule over the people of America. Americans are done funding foreign wars and money laundering while our country falls apart. Absolutely true. Couldn't agree more. And on to Liam McCollum for my first choice of what I think we would need to be doing, who we should elect Speaker, because there's no one better than Ron Paul. Because Ron Paul was right for 50 years. He was spot on about absolutely everything. Let's go ahead and jump into this clip. Ron Paul, absolutely incredible. Couldn't be better on any issue. The great doctor and arguably the greatest living American. Let's give it away to Ron Paul.
Your position on the war is pretty simple. Get out. What about, though, trying to minimize the bloodbath that would certainly occur if we pull out in a hurry? What about protecting the thousands of Iraqis who have staked their lives in backing the U.S.? And would you leave troops in the region to take out any al-Qaeda camps that are developed after we leave?
The people who say there will be a bloodbath are the ones who said it would be a cakewalk, it would be a slam dunk, and that it would be paid for by oil. Why believe them? They've been wrong on everything they've said. So why not ask the people who advise not to go into the region and into the war? The war has not gone well one bit. Yes, I would leave completely. Why leave the troops in the region? It was the fact that we had troops in Saudi Arabia was one of the 3 reasons given for the attack on 9/11. So why leave them in the region? They don't want our troops on the Arabian Peninsula. We have no need for our national security to have troops on the Arabian Peninsula. And going into Iraq and Afghanistan and threatening Iran is the worst thing we can do for our national security. I am less safe. The American people are less safe for this. It's the policy that is wrong. Tactical movements and shifting troops around and taking in 30 more and reducing by 5, totally irrelevant. We need a new foreign policy that said we ought to mind our own business, bring our troops home, defend this country, defend our borders.
So Congressman Paul, and I'd like you to take 30 seconds to answer this. You're basically saying that we should take our marching orders from al-Qaeda. If they want us off the Arabian Peninsula, we should leave?
No. I'm saying we should take our marching orders from our Constitution. We should not go to war. We should not go to war without a declaration. We should not go to war when it's an aggressive war. This is aggressive invasion. We've committed the invasion of this war, and it's illegal under international law. That's where I take my marching orders, not from any enemy.
Over this way.
The American people didn't go in. A few people advising this administration, a small number of people called the neoconservatives, hijacked our foreign policy. They're responsible, not the American people. They're not responsible. We shouldn't punish them.
Congressman, we are one nation. We can't be divided. We have to be one nation under God. That means if we make a mistake, we make it as a single country, the United States of America, not the divided States of America.
When we make a mistake, it is the obligation of the people through their representatives to correct the mistake, not to continue the mistake.
And that's what we do on the floor of the Senate.
No, we've dug a hole for ourselves, and we've dug a hole for our party. We're losing elections, and we're going down next year if we don't change it. And it has all to do with foreign policy, and we have to wake up to this fact.
Even if we lose elections, we should not lose our honor, and that is more important than the Republican Party.
We have lost over 5,000 Americans killed in Afghanistan. We've lost over 5,000 Americans over there in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and plus the civilians killed. How many more do you want to lose? How long are you going to be there? How long? What do we have to pay to save face? That's all we're doing is saving face. It's time we came home.
Gentlemen, thank you. Wendell.
Congressman Paul, your answer is to cut both taxes and spending. You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security, Medicare. I know that you used to want to end the FBI. I'm not sure whether you still support that idea, sir. Perhaps you can tell us.
Ron Paul absolutely right about genuinely everything as per usual. The good doctor not missing a step, still to this day 90 years old and still sharp as a tack. What Ron Paul is the poster boy for the sign that says, "I told you so." If there was ever a man in American politics who had warned everyone about the dangers of foreign wars, the expansion, the problems with printing our money endlessly into the ground, abandoning the gold standard, the issues with the cultural decay that would then come from the process of overexpanding ourselves into an empire abroad, Ron Paul knew all of this was coming, and he's been right about every single moment of it. And here's the deal that needs to be stated. There's a statement in history that says there's nothing strong enough to stop an idea whose time has come. And I believe it is time for the ideas of Ron Paul to truly come to fruition. Because when you see the current climate and how much the distrust in the establishment has ginned up to the absolute limit and will consistently only ramp up exponentially in the coming years, we see that this idea has truly come to pass. And now it's time to act on it. Thank you for watching if you got this far. Stay lovely, stay great. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. Peace out.